Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Service Dog channel. I'm not a lawyer, and here's my fair use statement. An emotional support animal is called an ESA. They are not service animals. According to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, otherwise known as HUD, an ESA is any animal that provides emotional support alleviating one or more symptoms or effects of a person's disability, and is prescribed by a mental health provider. They help reduce the symptoms of a person's mental health condition. They provide companionship, relieve loneliness, and sometimes help with depression, anxiety, and certain phobias. ESAs do not have any special training to perform a task that assists a person with disabilities. Not only that, but they can be any type of animal. There are certain places ESAs are allowed to go and other places they can't. ESAs have the same status as a pet, so they can go anywhere that pets are allowed to go. Watch my video called 50 Pet-Friendly Stores linked at the end of this video. You'll probably find some surprising places on that website, and it also lists restaurants and hotels. ESAs can live in places where people are not allowed to have pets. They don't just automatically get in, though. There's a process you have to go through. ESAs do not have the same status as service dogs, so if there's a sign that says service dogs only, your ESA is not allowed to go in there. Laws have changed, and now ESAs do not have a special status with airlines either. They're treated the same as a pet and charged a pet fee to travel. They no longer have that special status. Some people mistakenly believe that if they have a note from their doctor saying they need to have their ESA with them 24/7, this makes them a service animal. This is not true. To be a service animal, the dog needs to be specially trained to do work that minimizes the effects of your disability. If they're trained to do something any regular dog would do, like come when called or lay on your lap, those are not special training tasks for a disability. So you might be wondering how to make your pet into an ESA. Well, first you have to be diagnosed with a mental illness like depression or anxiety. Then you need a letter from a mental health provider prescribing an emotional support animal. The letter has to explain that your treatment plan includes the animal. Legally, the only benefit you get from designating your pet as an ESA is to be allowed to have your pet in pet-free housing, so if you're not renting your home, there really is no sense in doing it. You still can't take your pet, or ESA, into a store unless they're a pet-friendly store. And you still can't take your ESA with you to stay in hotels that don't allow pets. I have heard of some employers allowing people to bring their ESAs to work with them, but it's pretty rare. I'm telling you, it's nearly impossible to even bring a service dog to work with you. The ADA does say that employers have to provide reasonable accommodations for persons with a disability. That's covered in Title I of the ADA, so you may want to do some research on that. Title I does not limit the type of animal that an individual with a disability can take to the workplace. With this in mind, allowing a service animal or emotional support animal to accompany an individual with a disability to work may be considered an accommodation. This is where you can learn more about reasonable accommodations in the workplace. It really depends on the employer. It can be a long, drawn-out process, and your chances of winning in court are very slim. But here is another good source for information. Just because your dog calms you down during an anxiety attack, that doesn't make it a service animal. It all depends on whether or not the dog has been especially trained to perform a task, like detecting the attack before it happens or alerting you to it, then redirecting your attention, bringing you medications, going to get help, or performing deep pressure therapy. Do ESAs have to be certified or registered? No, but when you try to live in pet-free housing, you're going to have to get a letter from your mental health provider. No matter what you do, don't ever buy a letter, certification, or registration online. You can't take your ESA everywhere you go. This is a lie, and these are scams. When an untrained ESA is brought into a store that allows only service animals, service dogs and their handlers sometimes become victims of dog attacks. Things like this happen. Here is a cool little chart to help you understand the difference between emotional support animals and service animals. Covering it very quickly, ESAs do not have public access rights covered by the ADA. They can live in pet-free housing and don't have to be trained. Their primary function is to provide support through companionship. They don't get registered or certified, and they can be any type of animal. Here is where you can find a fact sheet written by HUD about assistance animals. They seem to lump service animals and emotional support animals into the same category because they both have the right to live in pet-free housing. According to HUD, simply buying one of those letters online is not good enough. They can contact the person who signed the letter and ask them questions like, how long have they been seeing you? How many times have they seen you? And if the only reason you contacted them was to get a letter. If these are true, then they don't have to grant you permission to live in pet-free housing with your ESA. There has been widespread misuse of emotional support animals in addition to misinformed people who don't understand that emotional support animals cannot go everywhere with their owners. There's an article in Psychology Today that includes a story of an ESA owner taking his ESA to a private park where only service animals are allowed to enter for free. When he was challenged, he said the rule didn't apply to him because his dog was a registered ESA. When some ESA owners get challenged for bringing their pets to places where only service animals are allowed, they tend to get indignant and insist that they have rights that they don't really have. One last time, emotional support animals are not service animals. For more information like this, check out one of my playlists while you do laundry, fold clothes, sit in traffic, or walk your dog. Subscribe to the Service Dog channel.